JD, welcome to my channel. Back at the bench today. Today I'm just finalizing this very nice old Regina Pocket Watch made in Switzerland. This is the one I made the new balance staff for, and the first thing I'd like to do is put the second hand on. So I just normally just put that second hand down like this. I let it rock towards the pivot, and then I rock it up, so I stand it up and see if that worked here. Don't think it did. You want to be right over the pivot like that. So I think I'm going to have to go down a little further to do this properly. So here I'm down over the pivot, and I just want to make sure I've got this. I probably tried to push it down beside the pivot before. Yeah, it was bad. So there we go. That's right inside the pivot. Then I used the back of my tweezers to push it down to do the final push. And I just want to make sure there's a little bit of gap there, and there is. So that's perfect. Lots of gap there. And now I just have to put the hour hand on. Now this hour hand, I could use my hand lever to put this on, but I'm not sure if it's worth the effort. Why don't I do it just to show you how that special tool works. Now I know that all y'all, which is most of y'all, except it's all of y'all, love tools. So let's have a look at this specific or particular tool and see how this works. Alright, so this tool is made in China. It's specifically made for very carefully pressing on watch hands. These parts here are screwed on, so the tip can either be metal or plastic. I've taken the metal ones off and put the plastic ones on. So these plungers are spring loaded. They're actually pretty comfortable to do this. And there are 4 different sizes. One of them is a flat one, and the other ones are different sizes. So it depends on which pivot or pinion you're going over to load this up. As well, there's a bearing inside here that snaps this into place. So you do this and it's perfectly centered with that bearing, like that. Now this comes with a multitude of attachments. I've used a number of these attachments which help align the movement. So it's primarily made for watch movements, not pocket watch movements. So here I've got an 11.5 Ling attachment here, and this just fits in there perfectly, right? So if I'm lining that like this and lowering it, there it is there, perfectly fitting, right? So great thing. But for pocket watches, it's a bit different because you don't have the attachment. This is a modern tool. I don't believe they had a tool like this back in the day. So it's a more modern tool. So what I want to do is simply use a cloth of some sort. I might be able to be low enough to do the pocket watch with this. So if I center this, put a cloth on top, I can look at where I am with respect to this particular, and I want to make sure I get the biggest one. So let me have a little, I'm going to just glance on the bottom to make sure I've picked the widest one. So the widest one is on the far end, right? It's right there. So it's on the far end, and now I want to just push that down. Far end, this is the one that's flat, but I want to push that down to see if it actually goes all the way on. Yeah, it does. And I'm just going to hold it there and move the watch out of the way and see how much farther down it goes. Okay, good. So now I know that this goes all the way down, so I won't have any problems pushing the hand on. So I just want to center that by putting it right over the pipe here, like that. And now I know that's centered. And then I should be able to just grab that watch hand and then push that all the way down. Now I gotta tell you, so if I'm going to replace these watch hands, I want to make sure I have this a minute hand that kind of matches this hand, and it's not totally odd to the pair. So before I push that in, let me see if I've got that hand that's matching. So in my stock of hands, I've procured over the years many different hand types. So here is a set of hands here. This is not atypical of the one we're looking at right now, so I'm not sure whether I would use that or not. But you kind of want them to match up, right? So This here is a bit better. So if you look at this, these are all hour hands, right? So I do have an hour hand that looks a lot like that. The one that I have in there is a lot like that. So probably don't need to replace that. I'm hoping to find a minute hand in here. So these are a bunch of different hands, but they're all luminescent and they're not the right style of hands. And hand hunting is not fun by the Jesus. So here you've got some very fancy hands here, and I can see some minute hands that are fancy here that might work only if the hour hand, the equivalent hour hand, works. So I have an hour hand here and a minute hand here, and these are super fancy. I'm not sure whether these will fit on the watch at all. And I can size it. I can just eyeball the size for 5 seconds here and see what size this is. And I can see that it's very close to this, but this one might be a bit better, closer. But the thing is the minute hand close enough? So let me just peel the minute hand off here very carefully. It's stuck on here quite well, so I'm just trying to peel this off without causing any damage. There's the minute hand, and that would be the equivalent hour hand coming around. It's just a bit longer, and so I would take this pocket watch here and see how this sizes up to this particular watch, right? And if I go over the top here and look at that, I can tell right away that it's not the right size. I can tell right away that it's too, that hand is not, I don't think it's the right size. Let me take it from the other side here. Oh, it's close. It's very close. Very, very close. Now, of course, there's gum on this thing from, get rid of my hat here because I think it might be interfering with my work. There's gum on this thing, so I'm not sure whether that gum is going to get in the way. I actually think the hole for the hand is too big. And because of that gum with the paper, that actually looks too big. So that's not right. So that's too big of a hand. So just throw this back here. And the next size down might be something like this. I don't know. I'm going to desert myself from this group of hands here and then reach into another pile of hands that I have. And here we've got a ton of hands here, and I'll just dump these out. There's no other way of doing this but just dumping them out. And then I'll look at these, I'll say one hand at a time. Pardon the humor. But these would probably be adequate. They've got some style on them, and if you've got a circle on the end, obviously it won't match. The circle won't match with the bare-looking hand, so that's no good. A straight hand might match, but it also looks a bit off. I do have a whole whack of other hands that might be more appropriate. There's a bit of a teardrop on the end of this hand, so I'd have to find a minute hand that's got a teardrop on it. And I've got a bunch of smaller minute hands. And I know that in my Elgin supply box, I believe that I've got a ton of hands there too. So there's a real challenge here. And I know finding pocket watch hands is a difficult job. And even when you get the right size hand, then you got to get the thing, make sure that the right size hand actually fits this particular watch, and then it matches the other hand. So like this is a nice, well-sized hands, but the hole is too big. So none of these hands seem to work, so I put those back in the bag. So I found a hand here that might be close to the right size. It has a little tiny bit of a bend in it that I think I can straighten out. What I'm not sure is if it's if it's close, I'm having a look at this here, because actually I want this thing to be pretty big. I was looking at the wrong side of this, believe it or not, of all watchmakers. I was looking at the very end of the point when I could actually, these hands are to fit over the larger size of this. So if I spill these babies out again, what am I looking at? Hey, stop that. I think I'll go back to the other bag of hands. So I found one that's close, but no cigar. So it's close, it fits over the pipe like that, but either I would have to tighten that, which I can do on a with my staking set, or I'll use this as my key, and I'll find one that has a hole that's similar to that size. That's another way of doing it. And I also would like the teardrop. So there's one here that looks pretty ragged that's similar to the size, but it's not a good one. So I'd want to find one that's got the teardrop. But that's a good, this one here is good for setting the standard, basically, right? So being that I was stupid the first time, I'm going back to the sets of hands here to see if I can match up the hole size here, which would be nice for the minute hand here. So I'm just going to eyeball it to see if I've got something that's close. The first one here is actually close, but it looks like it's been squished down. We don't want that. This one is, I think, too small. I could try it out, but it looks a bit too small. Yeah, I think that'll float if I put this back in. Look how big that is. This one here is almost the best hand if I can reduce the size. So these ones won't work for that. They're just not the appropriate size. So just put this protective cover back on. Hand hunting is not easy. I've done this a few times. Whenever someone comes with a pocket watch and they say that, oh, it's a really nice watch, it works really well, but it doesn't have its hands or whatever, I go, oh, here we go again. And to order hands is very difficult. That's why I've hunted through the internet for various hand sizes, so I could, those are all hour hands, so I could perhaps match handsets for future repairs. Not easy. Not easy. It sounds like Donald Trump there. It's not easy. It's not good. It's not good. It's not looking good. It's not looking good that I could find the hands. It's a really good Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter found the hands for this watch. It's a good watch that Hannibal Lecter might be using. All right. I'm still looking. I could go into my Elgin watch hand stuff and see what I got there. And again, like I say all the time, well, before that, what I want to do is look and see how nicely this hand sits on top of this hand. And it does. So it's sort of, it's nice. It's sitting there well established. And you look at the thickness of this thing again. Yeah, it looks pretty thick. You have to use a round punch to basically take the material and flatten it off. So I'm going to see if I can try that, right? Because there's the hand there. It's a little tiny bit long, but if I can get it to fit, I can cut the end off. So that would end up looking like that, and this hand would end up looking like this. And that's not too bad right there. So it'd be nice if it was a little wider. So I may go into my Elgin thing. So it's hard to find the right hands, I'm telling you. So here I've got an Elgin genuine material case here with 3 drawers, and the second drawer down has got boatloads of hands. So it's got all these different hand sizes and types and stuff, so it's a matter of looking through these now to see if I've got a matching pair. And if I recall, there's also groups of hands down lower, but I'd have to pull out the ones that are the right size. See, there's groups of hands here, and I don't know if they're the right size. Yeah, some of them are, oh, that's not too bad. Yeah, I may just pull some of these out and have a look at them and see if with a little bit of luck, I'm able to match something here. Some of them just look like they're too small. They're not long enough for this watch, perhaps. It's good to have that sample that I pulled though, because when I go over to the edge here, right here, I can pull one here. Let me see. This is so old that the cork on it falls apart. So I try to, you watchmakers out there would understand that. See, these are way too small to do the job. To do the job. These are too small, so these are small. These ones look good, but I can tell right away that the opening is not good enough for that. These ones here look like they may have some potential right there. So here I've got a set of hands that might have potential. And if I look at the circle here, what do I got? So this is a square, not a circle. So these are all square hands. So it's for a different type of watch. And if I look at this here, so these all have potential as well. These look pretty good, but they're styled. So these ones here are good looking but styled, so I'm not sure if that works because of the style thing, because they've got the circles on them. And then I've got, let me see if I go down the line here and have a look at these hands. These ones aren't too bad either. I think I'm just going to end up pulling all these out. The indexing on these is shitty, so I'm not too worried about putting them back exactly where they were before, because it's not these aren't really indexed. So I'll just see if, I know these are matching hands, so in some cases, this is like a set of matching hands here. And that looks pretty good actually. I'm going to put that aside. And then whenever the container is upside down, that means these containers are upside down, means they've been emptied. So there's still more hands down here. And I can just tell right away by the hole size whether that would be big enough. And I can see a lot of them aren't big enough. And see if I can go down the end here. That's the wrong style. And I look down here, there's even more hands. Oh my god. These are really small hands here. So I think that these are like Donald Trump size hands. So none of these I think would be appropriate. So I've taken out everything I could possibly take out that makes any sense. So let me just close these down. There's some fancy hands here, but they wouldn't match the gold, or they wouldn't match the silver, the coin silver. So that is my Elgin genuine parts. And genuine is also pronounced genuine. I just realized I was saying genuine. These are genuine parts. So this one looks good, but it looks too big. The second hand, or the minute hand, looks okay. Maybe I'll open that up and see what that looks like. So these things here, take these corks out. Yeah, usually you push inward and turn, and then you push outward again, and then you release. So it's an inward turn thing first, though. So here we've got a set of hands here, and they look like they might have some potential from a size perspective. Let me just lay this down here. And they look like they're too long. Not a bad size though. That actually fits. But they look to be too long, and they fatten out at the end there, so I'm just going to put these aside, but they are a very good fit. And you know, if I stake those down or just tighten them just a bit, they probably would work, right? So these are a good fit, but good but not. So it's just a style thing on these. I don't think this hand here, I think this is way too big. If this is the original that I got, yeah, that's way too big. That's going to drown that poor watch. So these ones are no good. And then let me just go down the line here and see what I got. Again, you'll crack the cork, and it's probably, this one looks like it's already cracked. Let me just look inside here. I want to see these look good, but I don't think I'll be able to get them out because of the cork. Oh, no, I got it. I got it. So let me just spill these. So these are actually really nice. So there's a whole bunch of the right type hands here. So I just don't know if they've got the right size. Again, it's a size problem. Size never matters, right here. Now these are all made so you can clip them down. And that is really nice. So I could snap that down. That looks like it's actually fitting, except it's a little bit loose, but I can pound that down. So I think this is really good. I'll just put this one aside. See how I'm trying to get that off, but it won't come off. I'm just going to put that aside over here. And just for the hell of it, try another one, which might be a little bit smaller in size. This one looks like it was bent a bit, so I'm not going to... These look like the right size hands, though. Oh my God. I'd just like to tell Tim out there that we may have found some hands here. And again, look at that. That fits. But what I want to do is I want to cut it right there so that you just nip the end off of it so that it's the right size. But this, like this hand here, I'm looking at it to see if it's bending down a little bit, but the other one was not bending down. And let me look at this one here. This one here is bending down just slightly. I want it to be straight across. This one here looks pretty good. That looks pretty straight across. And let me put that down on here. Yeah, look at that. That looks like, this one looks like it actually fits. So let me move these ones out of the way. I'm just going to put these back in the container and then be back in a sec. Now, just for the heck of it, I'm going to check out these hour hands. And again, don't try to screw it and pull it out. Push inward like this, then turn it, and then pull out. And the cork will survive if you do that. So I got a bunch of hour hands here, but I think they're all much too big. Yeah, they are. They're all very big hour hands. If you look at the difference there, they're just drowning that poor other hand. So the hour hand that I have here may be my only option. And this is the one that I'm told came with the watch anyway, so which is a good thing. It's just not as blued. It's blued, but not as blued as the other ones used to be. But it might look fine. Yeah. So I'm going to put these back. I was hoping to find a decent hour hand. I may go back into my other hands and have a look. So I'm going to float the old hour hand over the these new hour hands and see if I've got anything close to a match. I apologize for the boringness of this video. Oh my God, but this just tells you how hard it is or how long it takes to find a proper watch hand for a watch. It's not something that's simple. So when you go to your watchmaker and you say, hey, can you fix my watch? And the guy says, well, it's going to take 4 hours. It may take an hour to actually find the right hands if you come to the watchmaker for, to fit a new hand. So it's not a simple job. If they've got really good stock, like a lot of really good stock, it might be different, but yeah, I can see some hands here that might work. It would be nice if this one worked because it's the right. Just have to look through the pipe here and see if I can see the other edge of the thing, so it's, you know, whether it's too short or too fat or too long or whatever. That one's not too bad right here. Let me see if this one, if I peel this one off, again, it's this sticky paper thing, so I want to make sure I don't bend the hand by taking it off of this paper, right? There we go. So now what I'll do is I got a couple here that are candidates, right? But I bring the watch back here, very carefully remove this hand here that I think is going to work well. I may have to tap it down a bit, but it's going to work well. I'm moving that out of the way and take this one here and see how far down the pipe this thing goes. Yeah. I'm just having a look at this by pressing it down just a bit and seeing where it ends up. It may not be, it's, when I compare it to the other hand, it looks good, but if I look at this like this, I'd end up having to shorten both these hands just a bit, so, which is doable. And you can definitely tell the difference between an hour hand and a that goes on, but I don't think it goes on well. Yeah, it's on there. You look down at it. No, I don't think that will work. I think the marker on it's too far out. It just looks odd. It did stay on, and guess what? It's sticky. It's not magnetic, it's just sticky. And I think it's slightly bent too. So you can take it with your hands and very carefully bend it back. But it looks like it was slightly bent. It's bent in shipping. Not so. So we're going to go with the other hand. It's close enough for government work. Is that what they say? So I've got the vintage hand there, and I've got a new hand I'm putting on. I think they may look a little bit different, but not a lot different. So it's close enough. You can definitely see the difference between the hour and the minute hand, which is nice. So we're going to try that. I do have a whole can full of hour hands, but I don't think these hour hands, they look a little bit corroded. Even if one of them was to fit, I'd probably have to do a lot of work on them to get them back up to spec, because they kind of look a little bit worn for wear. Like I said, the original hour hand might just suffice, even though I've got these other hour hands here. But a lot of hands. So there, that's good enough. So what we'll do now is I will push on the hour hand. I'm gonna make sure this thing is flat, which I think it is. Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, it's more or less flat. And then I'll size this hand properly, the new hand, which is over here. I want to be able to nip that, so if I just put that on temporarily here like this, I can see where I want to nip it right there. So what I'll do is I'll just take a marker and put a little mark on it. And again, I'm guessing that this will work with the marker. Yep, I can see the mark. It's very small, but I can see it. And then I will take a set of nippers and then just cut the end off that. So usually my little nippers that I've got, I'm going to show you in 2 seconds as soon as I should turn off the video when I do that. These little things here usually do to do well to nip that off without a problem. I think I'm just holding it in my hands too, as opposed to trying to put it in a vise, because if I put it in a vise, there's a chance that it will bend, and I don't want it to bend. So all I do here, let me move this out of the way, is take the nippers here, line everything up, because I believe, look where that mark is. I can kind of see where that mark is right there. And then go in close to that mark. Right about there, I think. And just nip away. Alright, that didn't work. Let me go back in again. That worked really well. So that'll end up in my foot at a later date. So let me look and see if that sized it properly. And you just, when you're working with these things, just drop it on the ground, right? Don't try to catch it going up or going down. Let me see if I've got the right size. It should be close. Nope. It needs to take a little bit more off the edge. Just a bit more. So my nipping was off just a bit. I'm going to go up close to myself to do this, so I'll be back in a second. Alright, that was easy. So I nipped that now, and I'll see if that looks a bit better. I've got it upside down right now, but I'm just trying to size it. That is perfect. If you look at where that ended up, it's aligned perfectly with the number, with the indice here. So that's absolutely perfect. So now I want to just fit the hour hand and the minute hand, and I think I probably want to compress this a bit using my staking set. So I can show you how to do that, or just do it and come back. So let's try that out. So I need to make the minute hand, the hole a little smaller, and to do that I need to get a punch, and I need to use a round punch in a staking set. Here's the anvil for the staking set you guys have seen a million times, and I just need to set all this up. I want to get these other hands out of the way so there's no chance of damage while I'm doing that. So get the watch out of the way as well. Just leave it on the edge of the bench there, but it shouldn't be part of the game. So, and I want to find just the area here that's flat. I don't want to use any of the holes in the staking set. So, and let me find myself a round punch. So here I've got myself a round stake, so it's sort of domed or round stake, and I just need to line that up perfectly with this hand. And now last time I did this, I hit it too much, and it spread out too much material and caused me all kinds of issues. So here we're not going to do that today. We're just going to tap it a few times and not overdo it. That looks fairly centered there. And I'll just tighten the table up a bit, and all I do is tap, tap. I'll flip to the other camera so you can see it. And there's the watch hand in there at the base, and this is almost fitting, so it's just going to need a couple of taps here, not a lot. So I'm just going to tap that, and that may be enough right there. So I'm going to just try to see what that did from a fitting perspective. And you notice how I took that, I turned it around the other way, because that's the size that's going to be fitting onto the pipe there for the minute hand. So turn it the other way so I could tap it from that side. I think that might just do. So like I did before, just line this up with the largest hand setter here and make sure it fits right over the pipe like that. It's about as good as I can line it up like that. There is no base for this particular hand setter for pocket watches, so you just have to use use your brain. So so here I've got it like this, and I can and there it is there, and when I push down, that should go straight down. And there we go. So that's in and straight down. I'm looking at it here from the side. It's not too bad. It's a little bit up, If it's a bit up, you can sometimes just put a little bit of pressure here, and it'll lower the hand a bit. But try not to milk it too much. And I want to make sure that that hand now clears the seconds hand, which I'm pretty sure it will. But I just pull that out and just run that by the seconds hand, and I look at it sideways. Look at it this way, and as you can see, and I'll just put a little bit of background on there. As you can see, it nicely clears the second hand. There's no problem at all here. So that's that. Now I'm going to just place that other hand down for a second and see if it's close to fitting. So we'll put this at 12 o'clock. Move that all the way around to 12 o'clock, like that. I usually do it just before 12, given that I know this thing will just probably fit without a problem. And just lay that down on top like this. Sometimes you can use Rodico to do this if you're having a problem. I usually use, I'm going to get my stick out here because I usually just grab my little pointy hold things in place stick, my Bergeron stick here, and this helps me just place it on top. And I'm not sure again whether I pounded enough material down for that or what. So and I'm going to look down on that, and it's kind of ready to be pushed down. So I will try to do it with my pushers here. So I'm just going to grab this like this and put it in here, and I'm not going to use the first pusher. I think this one here. I could try using this one. I'm not sure how far down it goes or what. It's not too bad. Need to set things up. I may have to switch to a different pusher too. There, I've centered that. Now I can see the hour hand is touching it just a bit, which means I've got to do an adjustment of the hour hand. That has to go down a bit. It's too far up, and I can likely do that with a very fine screwdriver here. And I just want to get the other hand out of the way while I do that. I don't want it to be in the middle, so I'm just going to move this out of the way and see if I can just push that down a bit with my screwdriver. Or let's just use this here because it won't scratch it, and I'm not sure if this will work or not. I just want to try to milk that down a bit, and then I'll just move the hand around and see if it clears, and it does. It's still really close, but it clears nicely. So I just milk that down, and yeah, it's clearing. It's clearing and it's staying on. So that's good. I don't think I've got to push this on anymore. I could try rocking it back a bit as well. Sometimes you do that, where you've got it like this and you just sort of rock it just a bit back. And sometimes that gives you a little bit more. A little more clearance, like that, and that's pretty good there. Yeah, if you look at the clearance I have here, that's what it is there. If you can see that, it's probably refocusing in my hands, but there's a clearance there. It's not too bad. Let's try to get this camera to focus properly. There we go. So that's pretty good there. So now what I want to do, I'm just going to let it run for a while. So it's 12:46 right now. Usually you don't wind the watch backwards, but I'll do that. So 12:46, like that. And It's looking pretty good. Let me check the angle of that a bit. Finicky little beasts they are. And I'm going to check that distance again. Yeah, I think I got way too much distance now. All right, that should do right there. So, and I'll make sure that clears. I'll just go all the way around to set the time this time. And 12:46. This is my buddy Tim, and the watch hands actually look pretty good. They look pretty vintage. And I'm just going to see how well this clears as it goes by again, and make sure it clears and oh yeah, that's good. I got it rocked up just a bit so it'll clear nicely. So 12:46 is like that, and then push that in, and it's wound. I'll wind it just a little bit more. Just like that. I think that's wound all the way in. I can't wind that anymore. Check this out here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 12:46. Let's make it 12:47 or 12:48. 12:48. 12:48:39, somewhere in there, like that, like that. And then I will just, I don't need to put the top on, but just for a second I'll just put this on because I've got to make sure it clears the crystal, and I know it will. I don't think there's a problem there at all. But you can see if it's touching the crystal, you can see that right away. But I don't think it is. So we'll just screw that on just a bit, and just check the crack on the edge, like these cracks right here when you screw this on, to make sure that you're not threading it the wrong way, right? Because if I look at it like that, I can see there's no crack and there's a big one here. It's not threading on nicely. So got to make sure it plays nice. Some of these watches are hard to put on. They're not, I would say they're not easy. They're not, the thread's old, and you can't guarantee that it's going on perfectly. So, and sometimes you get it to a point like right here, and I think, okay, is that on perfectly? And then you press a bit more, and oh my God, it turns some more. Look at that, eh? So there, I know I can get this all the way on if I keep going, but I'll leave it like this and let this run. I regulated this already. I could check it again, but that's it. So that's the video for today. That looks pretty good. The hour hand looks a little more vintage than the minute hand, but it's not a bad hand set. So puts a little bit of personality. There's a bit of corrosion on the watch here, but there's nothing I can do about that. I brushed some of that off where it was rusty, I'll say. But I'm not, you want it to remain vintage, basically. Even the bail on the top is the old traditional bail here, so you don't want to play with that. So I'll let this run out. I'll let this run for the weekend, and then see what time it is, and I'll maybe check to see if it's generally in regulation here. I had it going really well before, and make sure nothing's changed. So thanks a lot, JD again. Thanks for watching my videos, and stay tuned, and there's always more to come. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. All right, here's the pocket watch sitting in the timer. This is the Regina Swiss-made pocket watch here. And if you look at the numbers, I'm running at a beat error of 0.3, which is incredible. I'll have to check the LA on this because I don't think it's 52, maybe a little less, maybe 50 or 48 or something. But my rate is minus 62 per seconds per day, which is pretty close, and I can easily regulate that. But look at the amplitude. This is my point. Amplitude of 347. That is friggin' incredible. The beat error is down to 0.3. These are great numbers. I don't care who you are. You got to appreciate these numbers. And that's in this old beast of a pocket watch where I've made the New Balance staff. So once again, if you want me to do work for you, just let me know. You can contact me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com, jdwatchservice@gmail.com. And thanks a lot. Thanks for all your support, and I'll catch you later.